Hey everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Hamilton Winters, and I'm the host of this podcast series called Inneractions. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2. We are so excited to bring you a story from our good friend Gustavo Bueno on the title of Perseverance. We hope you enjoy. Well, Gus.
Hey.
Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. We're really jazzed up to have you here. What do you think about this whole atmosphere?
Well, the fact that you have those lights, strange lights, funny, whatever you want to call it, is very relaxing. It puts me in almost in a meditation mode, and is exactly the mood we want to be if we're reflecting and sharing with people, and we want to make sure we give them good stuff. So we need to prepare ourselves to be open to have those good stuff flourish out.
I agree completely. This is the environment draws the good discussion out. So thank you for being willing to come on the show today to speak about perseverance. Why don't we start by you telling the listeners a little bit about who you are, how we came to be acquainted, and really how you got in this chair today.
Well, it's always a challenge to describe myself. So I was born and raised in São Paulo in Brazil. I've been here in Atlanta for just about 3 years. Now it's going to be 3 years in April 16th. I grew up in a very humble family, very strong, we had great relationship amongst all the parents and relatives. So it was a great environment from the standpoint that it's a very loving family, but we struggled a lot. It was we were broke. That's the reality. We were struggling a lot with money growing up. And I actually believe that was key to bring us to where we are today, because we didn't have anything for granted. We had to fight for bread, for everything that we had. And that really helped me to be very thankful for everything that we are and what we have today, and everything that we will eventually become, because I know there's great things happening in our life that are just in the beginning. So it was very challenging, but at the same time, it's extremely rewarding. So that's just our beginnings. And then I spent my whole life in the same neighborhood pretty much. We moved around here and there throughout the years as our life started to get better. Thanks for my family efforts. My mom has a key role in my character, in my perseverance, and everything that we are today. My father is a great is a great father too, especially while I had a brother who passed away. He was at the end of his disease, it turned into leukemia. And he was a key figure of a father for me, because he walked side by side with my brother for 4 years in the hospital, going in and out. And it was extremely powerful to me seeing that father figure walking so close to my brother and making sure that he had everything that he needed at that point in life.
Yeah.
Then I started working, and then finally, after a few years, we had this opportunity to come here in the U.S. You and I, we've been coming to the same church. Passion City Church is the most amazing church I ever seen in my whole life. I just moved to Lindenberg, and I would see these shuttles going back and forth, just messing up traffic. And every Sunday morning, I didn't realize what was that, and eventually we realized it was a church, and we started attending, and we liked it so much we started engaging. We started going to community groups, and we're now door holders. And in one night we just had I think it was a hosting meeting, and we are there and we start talking, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm glad that our paths were able to cross. And when you say we, you're obviously talking about your wife. Barbara.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about Barbara.
So Barbara
She's a
is
sweetheart.
an amazing person. I would not be here without her. She's an amazing person. She takes care of us, takes care of our relationship. She has a strong heart. She's very hardworking. She actually walked with me in a good portion of this path. We've been together almost 10 years. We're pretty young, but we have long stories together. We joke about that. We don't really remember life before us being together because it's been so long and so great that we kind of forgot all of the bad stuff that happened before that. But we would go working together. We're going to go to work together because we work in kind of the same area. So we would wake up at like 4:15 in the morning, and we go to get the subway together because we have to be at the office about 7:30, and it would take us 2.5 hours to get there. So we were
2.5 hours to get to work.
2.5 hours to get to work. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And now you're still working together, at least locationally, because didn't you say you have one table at your house and you just sit across from each other all day long?
That's exactly right. So she has her business. So since we moved here, she opened her own company. She makes amazing Brazilian food. It's called coxinha. We're trying to implement the name, making sure everybody can understand what it is instead of just calling it a chicken croquette. It's been a great and rewarding walk as well. We're learning a lot, but the credit is all hers. She is the owner of the company, and she's doing all the hard work, and she's being very successful for the period of time that she's been working for her company. And I'm just a sales guy, trying to do my best for the company I work for so long, and we just work both from our home office. So I typically say we're 23.5 hours together every day.
That's pretty incredible.
That is incredible.
They work out together. I know you post a lot of pictures. You're one of the most loyal listeners to this podcast, and I appreciate that. Had to have you on. I know you've given me a lot of really good constructive feedback and encouragement, positivity. You and Barbara are some of the most generous people that I've ever met. If for nothing else, a great advantage of our relationship is you've brought me coxinhas, and this morning he shared with us, he brought us a whole Tupperware thing full of cheese breads, which are incredible.
Yeah, those are just for close friends, just so you know. We don't make those for sale. They're not available for sale.
If you want the cheese breads, just become really close with Gus and Barbara. You're gonna have to invest in that relationship, but man, you guys are great. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you for investing in me. Throughout your life, the perseverance of being in the situation you're in now versus the situation that you came from. And we've talked about this in terms of aviation, right? Talk a little bit about what we've talked about at coffee, how that seemed like it was so far away from you at one point in time.
Yeah, so growing up, watching TV, American movies, and just, my first flight was probably when I was maybe 19, 20. Flying wasn't really a family tradition, it wasn't just part of our lives. It was so far from our reality that we couldn't grasp the possibility even of. I never wanted to be a pilot because it seemed so impossible to me. I had to be born again to be able to do that. That's what the thinking I had at that point. And now have come so far knowing you and what you guys do here and how everything works. I'm not saying I'm going to become a pilot, but I know if I want, I can hold it in my hand already. Yeah. So for me, it's so unique, beautiful, and amazing. And I have to say it's God's grace that we have the opportunity to look back, and where we came from is much further from where we want to go. And just knowing that is so comforting and just brings me a lot of joy. And at the same time makes me reflect, what can I do to make sure I can bring more people on board, not just in the aviation world, but in everything else.
Yeah. You are like me in the fact that if I like something, I'm a proponent of it. My dad's like this too. Like he's a judge by trade, but he'd be the best sales guy in the world as long as he didn't have to sell anything, right? He accidentally sells everything that we have. If he has a pair of sunglasses that he likes, he will literally, it doesn't matter if you're at a high school football game, he'll get 10,000 people to try on his sunglasses. It might be nighttime, but he's like, these are the best sunglasses I've ever bought. Try them on, try them on, try them on. You're like that with the causes that you take on. I try to be like that with the causes that I take on. Not that we want to push what we have on anyone else. You want to share it with somebody else because you know what it's done for you. Whether that's aviation, whether it's the Cochinias, whether it's Passion City Church, it's not a sales pitch. It's a share pitch, right? I want to share this with you. If you don't take it, that's fine. I'm not making any commission off of this, right? But if I do, great. If I don't, you store your treasures up in heaven. I brought you along on the path with me. I see that you enjoy something that I enjoy. And it's like, man, it is the real deal. You're just a natural, winsome spirit to whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're a part of. So, the more we can get you integrated in our stuff, the better. Because man, you take a cause on and you just run after it, and I love that about you. Talk to us about your discipline. Right, we were talking about how early you wake up in the mornings, and one point that you made was that you found yourself not being able to do all the things that you wanted to do, and so you made a change. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, just to give you an example, when I moved to the U.S., with everything getting busier, trying to catch up at work because I had to see all the customers and all that. So the integration process takes some time. You have to learn a lot, and now you're not speaking your native language for 90% of the time. It's not easy as it sounds. So it is a whole adaptation process. So through that, I put some pounds in, and it wasn't anything like super unhealthy, but I wasn't super happy with my how I looked. So, and I like going to the gym with somebody. I don't like to just go by myself. Mm-hmm. I want to have somebody with me, and that will be my wife. And she wasn't in the same page as me. She was like, no, I'm fine. I'm not going to go. And I was using that as an excuse for not going to.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm fat like this because my wife doesn't want to go with me to the gym. So I was just blaming everybody but myself, the only solely responsible for my own
circumstance.
Yeah, my own path. So at one day I said, no, this has got to stop. I need to take ownership because this is really my life. So mm-hmm. I have to, I'm the sole responsible for my happiness and everything else. Oh, at the same time, I start to think, well, I need to exercise my physical body, but I also need to exercise my spiritual body. I need to exercise my brain. I need to exercise a lot of other stuff. Mm-hmm. So I put down a list of everything that, not that I needed to do. I don't want to say that I needed, but that was the path to get to where I want to be.
What you required.
Yeah, those are the requirements. If I want to do this is what needs to happen mm-hmm. in order to make sure I get what I want and go to where I want to be.
I think a good word is development, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The things that help you develop into that idea that you want to get to.
Exactly. Development's a good word.
So after putting down the list, I assigned a certain time that mm-hmm. I felt that was good for that task, for example. So I pray every morning. So I'm exercising my faith every single morning. So I make sure I'm praying, I'm reading the Bible, I'm journaling every morning to remember the good things and make sure I capture everything that happened. Sometimes not so good things happen as well, and I think that's important to you to report and make sure you're reporting your journey.
Yeah.
And you stay on track on what you're trying to do. So among us, the other things that I have in the morning, I start adding all these hours back to my starting day, which is the time I start working. And I came to the conclusion I had to wake up 3:20 in the morning, and that's what I've been doing.
3:20 in the morning. And you said you start work at 9.
Yeah, I reduced my workout routine, so I've been starting working at 8, 7:30 sometimes.
Okay.
But
and you work until when?
Until
whenever.
When I
Better question. When do you go to sleep?
10.
You go to sleep at 10.
Yeah.
So 5 hours and 20 minutes of.
That's enough
sleep.
for me. Not less, not more. If I sleep more than that, I start to get my body a little sore. If I sleep 20 minutes less, if I sleep 20 minutes less than that, I just wake up with big eyes
hurting.
Yeah, I can see.
My mine hurt right now. I went to sleep at like 8:30 last night. Gosh, I needed it.
Gus, is this? It sounds like you've sort of developed this process that you've sort of refined over the years. Do you get it from anywhere in particular, like a book or something that you read or saw, or is it more just sort of like a scientific process that you've sort of approached with your time?
First, in my head, I really understand it. I understood that's what I needed to do. And one little thing that kind of sparkled, this is what I need to do. I saw a Instagram post, and I think was Mark Wahlberg. I don't remember if that's the name of the guy, but he posted his morning routine, and for me it just clicked. Okay, this is what I need. That's right there what I need to implement in my life. So I didn't read any book about it, or obviously I've heard about people waking up early before.
Yeah.
But for me, it didn't make a lot of sense until I saw why Mark Wahlberg would wake up at 2:30 in the morning every day.
Yeah.
When I saw what that he is doing every day, it clicked to me. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I have to start doing it as well, because I want to be some sort of version of Mark Wahlberg in the future, and I think that's how he made it. He's not doing this because of his life today. This lifestyle brought him to where he is today. Yeah. So that's where I have to start.
That makes sense. That's good. Good question. He's been in a lot of movies. I like that guy.
Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy. But he, with that Instagram post, invited you to take that on.
Yeah,
right?
That was an invitation for me.
Yeah. And it's cool that you took it like that, because I feel like a lot of the Instagram posts that we see are like, oh, that's neat. Scroll to the next one. Oh, that's cool.
Well, if there was ever idolizing someone, I would say that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Would be to look at and say, yeah, that's something that I want to, I like the way that, he does that, and I think that's what he used to get where he's going, so I can sort of develop my own version of that.
Yeah. More than idolizing, I think aspiration, aspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, you aspire to be like Mark Wahlberg, but you can't be, right?
Yeah.
But he can't be Gus Bueno, right? Unfortunately for him. Unfortunately for me, I can't be you. But you only get this one chance to use the resources that you have. We kind of live in a world where you compare your situation with someone else's, and that's kind of what we were talking about this Sunday, this past Sunday at the end of Louis' Yes and No series. Living in this culture of ride sharing, right? You've taken a back seat in your own life. someone else is driving. You're just sitting there doing what? Well, I got 38 extra minutes before I get to the airport, so I guess I'll check some emails, and I guess I'll get some work done. Well, how much of our day do we spend checking emails and just getting work done, completely neglecting what control we actually do have of going to work out, making our bodies better, praying, looking into the Word, making our spiritual, form better. Mentally, read. I'm the worst about that. My friend John Carabinos, who we've had on the show, he reads all the time.
2 books a month, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you're getting a good memory. I'm trying to get better at it. But it's the small things that add up, and that's why I think New Year's resolutions fail. You try to put all of this on at the same time. Like, I'm going to read 2 books a month, and I'm going to lose 30 pounds, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Well, maybe this year you need to just choose one, okay? Let's just choose one. That's hard enough.
I think that's where it comes down to the approach too, because you can try to pile everything on and be like, I want this and I want this and I want this and I want to be like that, and then try to take all that on, or you can just look at, okay, what process is going to get me to be able to have all these things in my life, instead of going out there and trying to get them all.
Exactly.
More developing yourself to be able to supply what is necessary to have those things to the environment around you.
And focusing on the end result too. You're not focusing on, well, when I get done with this, I'm going to look like this and I'm going to feel like this, and it's like, no, I'm going to commit to doing this every day, and tomorrow I'm probably going to get a little better at it. And just like you said, Mark Wahlberg doesn't wake up in the morning saying, oh yeah, I'm glad I'm here. He's like, no, I got to continue this, because by doing this, it's led me to this point. So by continuing to do this, where can I go from here?
Yeah, you have to create a sustainable process that you can repeat almost forever, if that's something you want really incorporated in your life.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping exercising ever, because if you want to stay in shape, that's what you need to do every day. So you need to make sure you create a realistic process that can be part of your everyday routine for the longest time.
Exactly.
And I had the same challenge in my life. I had all these dreams, and okay, this is just sounding very nice, but how can you turn that into goals? And then from goals, you go to a plan, and then to a plan, you break it down in little tasks that you can complete every day. And that's how I've been able to accomplish much more, just starting from the big picture, but nailing down as the smallest piece of action that you can do to go towards that goal. And that's how we've been able to make a lot of different things that we otherwise we couldn't do it, because it just seems so big. So you get lost at some point. You just give up.
Yeah, I agree. Applicable is the word. How do you take a big dream and make it applicable to your everyday? That's one thing that I do a Friday morning Bible study with a guy named Tucker Yates, and he's really good at leading the discussion and saying, okay, well, now that we've dug into the Sermon on the Mount, how do you implement that in your 10:30 meeting this morning at your office? And it's like, wow, okay, well, that takes a little bit of a different stance on things. Now you're not just reading someone's words from 2,000 years ago. You're taking them into that 10:30 meeting, right? So you've taken this big dream of being a certain way, looking a certain way, feeling a certain way, and you've said, let's break them down into tasks that I can say, how can I put that in 4:30 this morning? And how can I implement this at 5:45, and then again at 8:30, and then again at 2:30 when I'm not feeling too good because I'm tired because I woke up at 3:20, which was kind of an interesting point. As far as your faith goes, have you always been a person of faith?
Yes. I never doubt God's existence. I was raised in a Catholic family, but I cannot say that I be always a good Christian.
Yeah.
I did walk the wrong path for the longest time, and I can say it wasn't probably until I started going to Passion that I said, well, that's what I want for my life. So I have to dive into it, and really, I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm doing my very best every day.
Yeah.
So it really changed my life. The fact that I moved to that particular apartment complex just a few yards from Passion, that really changed my life.
Yeah.
Forever.
I feel the same way. Around the same time I started going to Passion is when I got hungry for it, right? When I wanted to start reading the Bible, when I wanted to get on my knees and pray, when I wanted to start serving at a church instead of being voluntold, I'm volunteering, to be a door holder. And that's when God opens up opportunities for community with people like you and with Barbara. And now I feel like, I know as many people, if not more, at Passion than I did at my church that I grew up in for 22 years.
Well, I can certainly say that the same happened to me.
Yeah.
And our stories are very similar on that aspect. It's been so amazing since I really opened my heart and started living the church life, per se, and really being a true Christian and seeking God and being part of a church that I truly believe on their beliefs and what they're trying to do. Everything that they touch is so perfect. We go to those community groups. We have an amazing environment with amazing people. Everything is so thoughtful. They think about everything. The food is amazing. They do it with heart because they do it to the Lord.
It's very, very detail oriented. It's interesting. It's interesting to be a part of a community like that. And 2 points to be made there. One, I think a lot of people look at it as a place where you go when you are a good Christian. It's not a country club. It's a hospital. It's for sick people, right? Everybody in the room is sick. I'm sick. Everybody's sick. You go there to be healed, not to revel in your, in your health. But two, and I was talking to some friends of mine who actually ended up going to church with me at the 5:00 service on Sunday. This couple are very good friends of mine, and their neighbor, who was raised Catholic in Ireland, actually, has not been spiritual at all since then. I'm not sure how old she is. She's middle-aged. She decided to go to church with us this past Sunday. But a few weeks prior, I was able to kind of share my faith with her a little bit, and she had a lot of questions, and she was like, I just don't understand all of this. I just can't comprehend just what. And I said, is a God that you can comprehend worth believing in? Because if you can fully grasp him, is that worth putting all your trust in? To me, it's not. I want a God that's so much bigger than anything I can comprehend that it puts that gap between us, because I'm a mere mortal. I'm just a human. And like Billy Graham says, I'm not of this world. I'm just passing through. Right?
just losing your body.
Yeah. We're just here for a blink. But in my blink and in your blink, the fact that God allowed our paths to cross, and Russell being here, I mean, there are just too many connections to look past God believing that our lives are significant, although they are very short. You know, that things like this can happen. That we could sit here in the United States with one of our closest friends from Brazil who never thought that aviation was attainable, and you're 20 yards away from planes out there that we could get you flying in 6 months, you know? That's a success story.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any other points that you have to make on perseverance? Talk a little bit about your brother.
Well, my brother was an amazing person. He was very kind and very loving. We discovered that he had a bone marrow dysfunction. I think the English term for that is a bone marrow aplasia. Essentially your body stops producing blood. So you have to refuel
Mm.
every so often. And in his circumstances, at least once a week, he would need 1 or 2 bags of blood, and almost every day he would need plaquettes, sometimes twice a day. So he would almost live in a hospital, because he would have to go every day, or doctors would come to our house. We're very fortunate that we had a health insurance plan that covered that. It's not everybody that had that chance in Brazil. It's still these days. He was treated in a public hospital for the most part, but it was kind of a blended treatment. Sometimes it was public, sometimes it was private.
Gotcha.
But we, as a family, on the treatment itself, we didn't have to spend a penny.
That's
so
awesome.
everything was covered either through the insurance that my mom had, or through the public system.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to look at his eyes every day, and he was happy. You can barely walk and you still happy. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So he would walk into other patients' rooms just to talk with them and cheer them up and say, hey, you got this. You're going to go through. And they not always made it.
Yeah.
For me, I never really questioned God's power or why this is happening to me. I know there's a big picture that we can't really see it, but I still don't see it, to be honest with you. I don't understand, but I know there's something bigger. But just the fact that he touched so many lives, and just going there and say, hey, I've got the same problem, and just keep fighting.
Yep.
And doing that for 4 years. And it's interesting because 3 months before we discovered that he was sick, my mom got pregnant of my little sister. So we are 18 years apart.
Wow.
So God sent help even before we knew we had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our joy today. My little sister is really the center of our lives, and watching her growing up, it's almost like my own daughter. It's such a age gap that we don't hang out like brothers. It's more it's a brother sister relationship, but it's still, I try to mentor her and give good advice, and she's very respectful of that. We don't fight at all. We're always having that conversation, as we're more friends than brothers per se. In that sense.
That makes sense.
So watching my brother going through all that gave me reason to never complain about anything.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Wow, that's powerful. I haven't had that experience, thankfully. I haven't lost anybody close to me. But through your experience and you being willing to come on here and share it with me, I feel like I have some semblance of that experience through you. You know, I can learn from you and from everyone else that have had these experiences that I haven't had, and hopefully experiences that I share on the show that you haven't had. You can learn and take something away from that. So by the end of it, we've all had 1,000 experiences because we all shared our one. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
It's amazing to hear that the part about him being able to smile and walk around and comfort other people too. It's amazing to see how big the spirit becomes based on the challenge.
Yes.
Ahead of it too.
Yes.
I had a friend that ended up passing away when I was little, and I would go visit him in 4th or 5th grade, you know, to get taken out of class just to see him for a couple minutes. And what I remember is him smiling when I walked in the room. That's all I remember. He couldn't talk. He couldn't move his body. He couldn't do anything, but I remember the smile. So that's interesting.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, he was happy that you're there.
Yeah. It's just that presence. I think that's when I learned about presence first, even being in the room.
Yeah.
You affect
difference.
what happens and what goes on.
What a good point. What a good point. The thing you said that stuck out at me was your brother walking in other people's rooms and saying, "I'm sick too. Keep fighting." I like that, because that to me that's church. We all it's 2,000 people in a room that look at each other and say, "I'm sick too. Keep fighting." You know, like that's how I would probably sum up my whole experience thus far. I'm sick too. Keep fighting. And there are days that you wake up and you don't want to smile, and there are days that, you know what the treatment should be and you deny it. And then there are days that you feel really good and you try to stretch those out. But
I think it's easier when someone reminds you.
It is easier when somebody reminds you. I always felt better being at football practice, not because of anything else other than the fact that everybody else was having to go through the same stuff that I was having to go through. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, the push-ups and being out here in the Louisiana, 105-degree heat sucks, but at least there are 70 of us out here doing the same thing. And I didn't finish last when we ran our lap, so I guess, But then you get into the comparison of everything. And no, but thank you. Thanks for coming on the show, man. We really enjoyed.
My pleasure.
Enjoyed getting to hear your story. If the listeners want to reach out to you and continue the conversation about perseverance, or to find out more about these wonderful coxinhas, how can they get in touch with you?
Oh, you can send me an email at gustavocrane@hotmail.com. This is my personal email.
Okay.
And we can go from there.
And spell that for them.
It's Gustavo, like my name, and Crane is CRANE@hotmail.com.
Cool. You on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. I'm Gustavo Crane. Just look me up there. I'll be on Hamilton's profile. You can find me there too.
Heck yeah.
There you go. We'll put a link.
Yeah. I'll always plug you, man. You're the man.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for investing in me. Thank you for our bi-weekly coffee dates at Starbucks on Roswell Road. Just pouring into each other.
It's an amazing place. Very convenient, just across the street from me.
It is.
And my pleasure. I learned so much. I still need to do some research about our last coffee.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about on that front.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's our second episode with Gus Bueno. But, thank you again.